Hello! So this is going to be a bit different video, but I am Megan. This is Battle Royale with Cheese, the website where you can get all of your TV and film news, reviews and trailers. This video might be a bit of a lower quality than usual because I'm filming outside, but I am at the Odeon because they are doing a double bill of Final Destination 1, released in 2000, so it's the 25th anniversary, and then they're showing Final Destination Bloodlines, the new entry in the franchise, and they're showing it about a few days early, so I thought, yeah, let's go see this. In terms of the first film that they're going to show first, I have done a more full review on it on the Battle Royale with Cheese website, so I'm only going to talk briefly about my thoughts on it, but I will put my review down in the description below so you guys can go off and read it. But yeah, I've got to go in now because the film is about to start, so I'll see you in about an hour and a half. Okay, so I'm out of Final Destination 1. Still great, still iconic. I think what I find funny is that, especially in the, I apologise, there's a lot of noise happening. In the opening scenes, there's like, you know, oh, there's the airport and the close-ups, and it's not being sorry about the noise. It's not being subtle at all with what's going to happen, and yeah, if you don't know the film, you don't know where it's going to go. Yeah, Ali Larter and Devon Sauer are fantastic as Alex and Claire, and even the plane crash sequence itself still holds up 25 years later. It still looks terrifying, and I don't really have much else to add from, I guess, what I already put in my written review. I think because it was the first film, it obviously does a lot more with character development and stuff like that. It's a lot more like a crime film or a drama compared to what, like, I guess the franchise turned into, where it's like, let's see how gory we can be, you know, fourth one high. But the first one definitely feels like, oh, it's a crime investigation, like drama, with obviously then the horror elements in there. You got to get them in there because of the concept of this. But I think because of that, this one is actually really well written. Again, it's the first in the franchise, and yeah, the acting's great. There's some of the dialogue's a bit cheesy, but I kind of give it a pass with the franchise because a lot of the dialogue in, you know, Final Destination is quite cheesy. Again, it's not really being very subtle with, oh, death is coming, and oh, there's going to be a plane crash and blah blah blah. So it's not very subtle in that regard. You know, the plane crashes sequence is still great. The deaths are still horrifying. You know, I actually, you know, watched the other films over the past week as well, and even this was still just like, ooh. So yeah, I mean, everything else that I want to say I've already written in my written review, so I will put that in the video description below. I go way more into the film, obviously, and my thoughts on it. But I've only got, like, the film was running late, so I've only got like a few minutes until Final Destination Bloodlines. I don't know if I'm going to do spoilers. I might do spoilers next week when it comes out on general release, because this is about a week early. So I'll do a regular review of Bloodlines coming out, and then when it comes out properly, I'll do spoilers and do a whole video on that. So yeah, Final Destination 1. Great, 25 years later, still iconic, and here we go with Bloodlines. Okay, and I'm out. So, yeah, it's a lot darker now, so let's go there. So just so you got a bit of light, I'll probably try and brighten this up in the edit as well. But yeah, so I'm out of Bloodlines. That, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really good. I definitely have problems with it. The pacing is a little wonky. There's CGI that is used. If you've seen the trailer, you've seen like the premonition. That premonition scene is actually terrifying. Like that, they do a really good job at making this film like really stressful, and I think that's something that most of the films have done quite well. 4 is not really, but this one does that really, really well, including the premonition scene. That entire sequence, it goes on for a while as well, and I think that's what this film does well too, is that like with the first film, it was really good to group this with the first film because it has like really good character development in it. The storytelling's really good, and it takes its time to tell its story instead of, even though the third film did it really well, it was kind of death after death after death. This one takes its time to actually go through the main character Steph, her sort of journey into this, and to figure out what's going on, what is happening, that kind of thing. There's a lot of references to the second film. Not all of them are going to here. There's a whole sequence with Mr. Bloodworth, who was played by the late Tony Todd, and I'm really happy to see that at the end credits, I will say this in non-spoilers, there is a message that comes up saying in memory of Tony Todd. So I'm really happy that that is a thing that happened, that they did. I think that's really sweet. But yeah, there's a whole sequence with him that I'll actually go into in spoilers, because they actually do go into his background. We got there eventually. But yeah, the premonition scene is terrifying. The kills are, yeah. I'm gonna go into the kills actually in the spoiler video that I'm gonna do next week. So this is all gonna be non-spoiler for the moment. I'm gonna go into the spoilers next week once the film is actually out properly. But yeah, so I think Eric's death, he's the guy in the tattoo shop, that was released first, so we know how that went. I won't say anything on that yet, actually. I'm not gonna, there is more to it, but I'm not gonna say more, I'm not gonna say it yet. Yeah, I think what's most interesting is the premonition, again, does take its time, and even as you start, you can already see the problems with it. You know, the lift assistant says, oh, they finished it like 5 months out of schedule, like 5 months early, isn't that great? And you're already seeing things start to fall apart. And it's just like, oh my god, I've never had vertigo with a film before, but there's a moment where they do like a shot down from the top of this building, of this like sky view tower, and it's, oh, I've never had vertigo for a film, but there we go. I definitely had it here. I was like, I'm feeling really weird, but I know what's coming, so this is going to be awful. And yeah, it was. The cast were fantastic. There is a few sort of clunky lines, like I said with the first film. This feels very much like the first film in terms of its writing and dialogue, but I think that it's nice to kind of go back to that, like go back to its roots and that kind of thing. The use of CGI, and I'll go more into this in spoilers, because there's something else that happens at the end that I want to talk about that I liked and didn't like at the same time. There is a lot of use of CGI in this, and like, I mean like number 4 type of CGI, and I think that's because this is being released in IMAX as well in different formats, and I think that's probably why, but it does make it seem a bit weird at times. Even when I watched the trailer and saw the sky tower itself, it does look very cartoony, but once you're inside, all the inside scenes are obviously all practical, so it didn't like bother me as much as it did with the 4th film. But yeah, there was a couple points where I was like, okay, that's a bit weird. I don't really know what else I can talk about. I like the other reference to some of the other films. So obviously this was shown in the trailer. You had the plane from the first film, you had the log truck from the second film, and there was a couple of other things that are shown later on that are future deaths in this. But I also think the concept is really, really interesting. So the idea that, you know, Stephanie's grandmother Iris had a premonition when she was younger, which is the tower, and then it took years for death to get all the survivors because there was hundreds of people who were saved. So by the time, and I didn't realize this is the way around it was going to go, by the time it got to, you know, the last survivor, which was Iris, everyone else had families at that point. So it was just tying up the loose ends after that, so going after the daughters and stuff, and the sons and the cousins and all this lot. Yes, I just remember what I was going to talk about. Some of the dialogue's a bit clunky in the first act especially. There's moments where it's like, so Stephanie goes home And I thought this was an interesting way for her to have motivation to go back to find the other characters, is that she's having nightmares of the premonition, which is how we get to see it, which is really interesting. But she goes back to her dad's place, and immediately the dialogue is like, oh hi dad, yes, I haven't seen you in ages because I've been at college. Oh hi auntie blah blah, hi cousin blah blah. And that was a bit clunky, that was a bit weird. And then it was like, you know, oh, forced exposition because we got to do this. So that was a bit odd. One of the kills in particular really stressed me out. I'm just going to say it's in a hospital. I don't know if this has been released actually in the UK for a trailer. I think the Japanese trailer, was it the Japanese trailer or the German trailer, released this scene involving an MRI machine in the hospital. Yeah, someone who's had MRI machines done, my MRI scans done a lot, that that really stressed me out. I'll talk about that more on the other side of this, or not the other side, but like next week. So yeah, but yeah, overall I really enjoyed this. Yes, I have a couple of problems with it, but overall I really enjoyed it. I'd watch it again. I had a lot of fun. It's still really good at making you really stressed out and it's really good at making you anxious, and could be held up next to the other entries. The premonition scene is fantastic. A lot of the kills are really good, and there's some really funny like jump scare moments in a dark humour kind of way that, you know, we've come to know, and they're still executed really, really well. But the spoilers video is going to be up next week. Now, the UK gets FinalDestinationBloodlines on the 14th. I know that I think America gets it on the 16th, but my spoiler review will be up on the 14th. So, yeah, and then we're going to spoilers and all that lot. I think they're closing up the cinema. They're closing up the cinema. So, I'm going to go back home, but this was my non-spoiler review on Final Destination 1 and Final Destination Bloodlines. I was Megan, this is Battle Royale with Cheese. See you soon.